Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we are at property address 504 East 9th Street here in Newburgh. I describe everything as, in this case, as if you're out in kind of the community, drive area there facing the front door. We are on the far left side of the building right now. As a test run here at the very start, I had the home inspector with a phone call going so we could time it and knew with certainty it was his flush. I had him flush the toilet on the far right side unit, and that water comes through this clean out here. So it's an interconnected sewer line underneath the building. So it's going to exit out as one sewer line. You don't have two exterior branches like some duplexes do have. That's why I always do that on the far opposite side of the clean out to ensure that we know if the water had water not come through here, we'd know that there was two exterior pipes that usually tie together at some point. So anyway, we're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is currently running, zeroed out there at the base of the clean out, and off we go. Well, it looks like these things are kind of tied together. That wire right there looks like a community line there almost immediately, likely connecting in with the unit to the left of this one. That would not be weird or unexpected to see on a street like this. And Newburgh, on top of that, purposefully builds party lines in everywhere. Almost every new construction house in Newburgh is a party line. That is commonplace here and allowed. If you're coming from like the Portland area, for instance, or you've ever heard of party lines, you don't have the same concern as you do. They allow them here and build them by design. And it looks like we just transitioned into concrete pipe, and that right there looks like the community main lateral we just tied on to. The camera picked up a little gunk on the way there. Sorry for the blurry image. But so far, nice looking sewer line. There may be some extremely minor standing water in a couple spots. We'll revisit that on the way out here, but so far, nice looking pipe, especially considering its age. And this last little bit here appears to be transite concrete, which is it's a concrete pipe product, but rather than having aggregate rock in the mix, it has asbestos fibers. And the beauty of this stuff, it's got that scary asbestos word, I realize. The nice thing about transite is, as it ages, unlike regular aggregate concrete, it does not become rough over time. It remains smooth. So the stuff often, up to about the last breath it takes, it remains smooth. You don't get blockages occurring because the pipe walls become rough, which is kind of a nice thing. Anyway, we're gonna go locate the camera head really quick here, and then we'll start pulling back once the line's drained. Alrighty, located the camera head here. So as you face the front of this building from the parking area, the line hits the community line here, the main, essentially runs almost directly underneath the little curb strip that separates kind of the front. It's hard. There's not much of a front yard here at all, but basically kind of where your front yard area meets the street. There's a little curb strip there, and I'm locating almost directly over top of that spot. That gives you an idea as to how the line's routed. I've turned water off on our end here. That doesn't mean the neighbor won't run water. I don't really have control over that, but and it might be worth finding out how they divvy up responsibility here, seeing as there is a Y connection that comes in, and most of the line here is cast iron. It's just that last about 6 feet there, approximately, maybe slightly more than that, is transite concrete, and the transite's flowing nicely. But it would be good to know how responsibility is divvied up here in the event repairs are needed. So teeny little bit of standing water right here, nothing significant. From it's about 20 feet where the standing water stops, and it starts at about 18 feet. It's a very, very tiny little thing, and I don't even think you have a 1/4 inch of water there. I'm going to write that up as between a 1/16 and a 1/4 inch. And for reference, after doing almost 25,000 sewer scopes at this point in my career, where I typically start to recommend repairs is once there's a 5-foot section of pipe with an inch of water. So what you're dealing with there is very, very minor. And we still have a little water trickling to the line there, as you can see. By and large, there it looks like that belly is just about 2 feet in length. Teeny little thing. And the renters here are actually doing a pretty good job of keeping the line clean. So yeah, my guess is this Y connection here is probably for this neighboring unit. It's hard to say with certainty. It's also feasible storm system could be tied in there. So that's kind of an unknown, but being that you've got this type of arrangement in here, this is not unexpected to see a Y connection like that. But you pick that Y connection up, that's as basically the line turns to head toward the street area. Going backwards right now underneath the house. Necking down the 3-inch pipe right there. Looks like we just transitioned, from what I can tell here, over to ABS plastic. Alright, and I'm well within the house here. Most of the stuff I look at is exterior. I always like to push back a little ways just to make sure there's no settling going back to the foundation wall. A little bit of standing water under the floor here, but no major buildup associated with it. It's pretty minor stuff. I'm a little limited on how far I can get back in here, the way this thing is configured. Let's clean out. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop. There's a piece, the way that this hose band is downside of this clean out, it's scraping the heck out of my camera. And every time I beat on this thing, it's getting worse and worse the further I get back in here. Go a little bit further here, but at this point, we should be over in the adjacent unit now. Pretty good looking line. And when you consider how tight this crawl space is looking, I'm amazed someone got an install this good down in there. Yeah. There we go. I've got a little better push on this thing here. Anyway, I've gone significantly further. Usually I only go back about 5 feet through the foundation wall. I'm getting you a lot of bonus scope in here. And with the amount of turns going on this line right now, I don't want to keep hammering through that stuff. Thus, we're looking good here, going all the way back to almost 70 feet. Minor standing water under the crawl space, and much of that interior pipe there has been updated. At least the main line has. That's really nice. I'm very impressed. That's all the standing water there is in here. When I look at this crawl space hatch and how small it is, it's incredible that someone was able to install this thing that nicely. You got a couple tiny little bellies under the floor here that are holding, at its worst point, we're sitting in a spotlight. It's about 1/4 of an inch of water. Very, very minor. Anyway, nice looking sewer line there. And we made it to almost the very back end. I went through just a few too many turns there. Run the risk of damaging the camera. Anyway, all three, I guess, cast iron, ABS, and transite concrete. All of them, the ABS is in good condition, the cast iron is in good condition for its age, and the transite, I would say, is in fair condition for its age. Cast iron will almost always age nicer than any concrete pipe product out there. All of them have good flow and are functioning properly at this time all the way out to the connection there. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to I don't know if it's an HOA question, but just to find out how responsibilities divvied up out here, because these are generally community shared sewer lines. You know, if repairs are needed, how is responsibility divvied up? A lot of times it's HOA type thing. You know, I will notate on the report there's a Y at about 6 feet out here. But again, could be for storm system, could also be for another home's line coming into it. Neither of which would be unexpected for this era of house.